Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined as always by Mr. Raj Giri, and back this week, Mr. Matt Morgan. Matt, how's it going, man?
Good. Sorry I couldn't be on last week. I actually got sick after the gym. That's never happened to me. While I was throwing up, it was nasty.
Wow.
Yeah, it changed my diet. I was eating grit. I had to eat grits. I had to eat 4 freaking cups of grits, which is nasty as hell. And I just started throwing up. I caught the flu, it turned out. So sorry.
Well, you know, if that didn't make you sick, last week's Monday Night Raw probably would have. So dodged a bullet there. But great to have you back tonight. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw for May 15th, 2017. Matt, what did you think of the show and how they're already setting up Extreme Rules?
I think they've got a lot of money matches. Not money. They did some good big matches that had big feels to them tonight. I mean, anytime you've got Roman Reigns versus our boy, you know, almost middle of the show, you know, that's saying something, right? So, I mean, they throw a lot of good big matches tonight. I think that pay-per-view is going to be really good.
Yeah, tonight's show, they tried.
I don't know. The only thing I don't like about these Extreme Rules shows is that they're gimmicks, right? So, like, it's the time that anybody could beat anybody because of a weapon. And then if that person gets to win, it's not really getting the win because you use a weapon or a stip or whatever. It wasn't a straight up match, you know? So this is the time to start beating Roman Reigns for the record.
Yeah, I thought this was definitely better than last week. It still felt long to me. It felt like a long episode, but it was definitely better than last week.
Yeah, they really tried tonight, it seemed.
Yeah, but the cheap DQs, man. When you're watching a match for 2 segments and then they ended in a cheap DQ, it's one thing to do it once on a show, but your 2 biggest matches on the show, you do that in. Well, outside of Roman Reigns and Finn Balor, but you did that with Ambrose and Miz, and then you did it in the main event, and I just feel like it leaves a bad taste in your mouth.
Yeah, no, if you invest all that time in it, we talked about it last week, you want an outcome, you want a resolution, something, anything. So that being said, let's hop into the show and go segment by segment, piece by piece. So we started with a look at Strowman versus Reigns from last week, long recap video they started with there, and then opened up the show with Kurt Angle talking about what's going to be coming up with Extreme Rules and a fatal 5-way to determine the new #1 contender. The participants will be Seth Rollins, Samoa Joe, Finn Balor, Bray Wyatt, and Roman Reigns. So I guess to start with, Matt, I'd love to know what you thought of this segment, but then furthermore, what do you think about them having a fatal 5-way be the main event, the big match for a pay-per-view?
I mean, Roman's got a point, doesn't he? As far as like what the hell's he got to do to stay the #1 contender, you know? I mean, if we're fans of him or not, it doesn't matter. If we're sticking to the wrestling rules and wrestling code of winning matches are supposed to mean something, I'm sorry, but beating the Undertaker, there is nothing really any bigger, and that automatically should make you a #1 contender. And then on top of it, the guy never loses, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a good match, though, because of all the parties involved. So I'm excited to see a very good match. I guarantee you that match is awesome. But as far as, you know, wrestling rules go and winning matches mattering, I think this is a complete, you know, debauchery as far as burying wins. Wins should mean something.
This feels like it should be. I mean, the one problem when you got that many good people in one match is what is that undercard going to look like? Because I think there's going to be a lot of Titus and you know, Goldust and stuff like that. But that being said, I mean they kind of, this is what they did to themselves by not having Lesnar and not having Lesnar come until after this pay-per-view. You got a main event that's usually something that's settled on Raw. You know, Raw is usually where you determine the top contender and then leads to the world title match. But, you know, Balor, if you went by WWE rule books, you know, Balor and Wyatt both never got a return match after they lost their title belts.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
Yeah, I mean, Balor never got the Universal title championship back, a shot at it. And Wyatt lost at WrestleMania, and he never got another shot at the world title. That match with Orton, that House of Horrors match, was non-title. So I mean, there's.
What about Seth Rollins?
Who did Seth Rollins lose to?
Did he? I want to think he got hurt. No.
Owens. He had the match for Owens for the Universal.
Oh, he
title.
got dicked over. He got screwed over by Hunter.
Yeah.
But that was to determine the new champion. So the last time Rollins had the title was, was it when he lost it? Yeah, I can't remember when last time. Let me look that up. It might have been when he got injured to Kane, but he's gotten world title matches after
Wasn't
that.
it Money in the Bank? Didn't he beat Roman?
The Roman.
And then Dean cashed in.
Dean cashed in, yeah.
Yeah. So
right. Okay.
Maybe that's it. Yeah. Well, look, I do think it's gonna be a good match. And you're right about the undercard being weaker, but the girls, hopefully that gives maybe more than one girls match on the card, maybe even more than two.
Maybe.
Yeah, it seems like they're building Sasha and Alicia Fox,
which I like.
Yes, it gives them something to do. Again, I'm not a fan of when they start feuds with them just trading wins already, because you've kind of already seen them both beat each other. So what does it mean at the end? But at least it gives them something.
It does something. I want. Well, we'll get into it when we get into the Hardys versus Sheamus and them. But what was next?
So after that was indeed, let's see. So Samoa Joe came out, interrupted that. It devolved into chaos, and then back from the break, we had the matches set up for later in the night: Rollins versus Wyatt and Balor versus Reigns. But then we had Sheamus and Jeff Hardy. So Matt, your thoughts?
Oh, that was next. Okay, I was gonna say. I know you guys are gonna say, well, they keep having these singles matches, but they'll switch the guys around, but it's the same damn thing, whether it's Jeff versus, Cesaro one week and it's Matt versus Sheamus the next, and then they crisscross them again the next 2 weeks in singles matches. What the hell? I remember when I was there that I was doing something with Big Show, being Carlito's bodyguard though, but I was the one wrestling the matches at the time. And I was like, how many times could I wrestle against Big Show? You know what I mean? That we have a pay-per-view to get to at the time. We're supposed to, before then what's his name got drafted away, and then none of that happened. But that's what we were supposed to do. It was like a 2-month setup. I was like, what the freak are we supposed to do, for friggin' 60 days to get there, And I remember being told that, you just want to be in an angle that's on TV by hook or crook, because there's nothing more valuable than TV time and the importance of it. And I remember that. I remember them saying that very specifically. Because, there is that question. You're like, well, what the hell? We're doing the same thing over and over. With these two, at least they're crisscrossing them. There's not singles. But it is the same damn thing in a way. But maybe they don't understand the power of not having anything for a week. It doesn't mean people are going to lose interest. That's my belief. But then again, I'm not a billionaire running my own company, am I? So maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, you could do a backstage vignette of Sheamus and Cesaro going through, mocking the Hardys and their past achievement. You could do other stuff and not just having the same match week. And the Hardys win every time. They've won every match. Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy haven't been beaten yet. And not that I don't agree with that decision, but I just think there are ways that you can get around with what you said, Matt, not having them having to wrestle every week, because by the time the pay-per-view comes, you just feel like you've seen that match 1,000 times already. And I don't think this is doing the Hardys any favors. You hear their responses every week, and now they're just back to being another team.
Well, they're definitely not another team. Let's get.
Well, but back to being where they were back with the last time they were with WWF. You know what I mean? With WWE, they don't seem like the two giant stars now that people were expecting the month before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to feel like, Matt, if I said to you, we need to keep these guys on TV every week, but you need to come up with a different way to do it. Like you said, with crisscrossing the matchups. It's like next week, let's do it in a tornado tag. And the next week, let's just find these other ways to keep mixing it up. I don't know. I think... I
don't even think you need to have them on TV, you guys. I don't think there's anything wrong with not being on TV. I think not being on TV could serve a greater purpose sometimes when something's starting to feel a little stale. And from what you guys are saying, it's starting to feel a little stale.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know what the angle is at this point. I don't even know what the story is, except for
just to get them to this stupid tag match against each other at the pay-per-view. That's really what it is.
Yeah, and I think after they made Cesaro and Sheamus look so strong last week, that you could have just had the Hardys beat another team, and then Sheamus and Cesaro come in at the end and just jump them and beat the crap out of them. You know, that would have been more effective than just them wrestling again. Yeah. But I think it might be time to, with how thin that roster is to pull the trigger on Jeff being a singles.
Can you imagine right now what we just talked about? The undercard being light for this. Okay, that's just for this pay-per-view that the undercard is going to be light, though. Let's be honest. 5 guys are going to be work. That's not going to happen every pay-per-view.
Right, but yeah.
Having Jeff, you know what I mean? At that, and I hate to say this, but like mixed either in the main event or that level right below it. Let's say like with Miz and what's his name? Dean Ambrose level, you know, not because Jeff's not a way bigger star than both of them, because of course he is, but he would help them. He would help elevate them and make that setup even cooler.
And mixing in Jeff with Seth Rollins and Finn Balor, you know, that would be, and Samoa Joe. I mean, that's there's a lot you could do there. It kind of leaves Matt lower down, but
not if he gets pissed after this loss at the pay-per-view, and this is what makes him go into Broken Matt or whatever gimmick Matt they call him.
It looks like that's I don't know. It looks like that's not happening. Impact Wrestling.
Well, then what's he doing? Because he's morphing back and forth like every 2 seconds. I watch him go from coming out to doing this whatever the hell gimmick he does.
Right. He does that to version 1.
Yeah, he goes back and forth.
I think he's like trying to remind fans that that's you know, like he used it.
Yeah.
But that character, I think it's until they can find out work on some agreement. I don't think that's happening.
I would love to know what's going on.
Wait, I'm sorry. Work on what?
An agreement with Impact, because Impact filed, you know, trademarks on Broken Matt, Broken Brilliance.
Oh shoot, I'm sorry. I wasn't even aware of this. I apologize. That's a big okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't blame them.
Yeah, I mean, they don't want to give it up, and you know,
so WWE would do the same damn thing. I'm sorry.
Exactly. No, absolutely. They wouldn't let Undertaker leave and be Undertaker in WCW.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
You know, Matt, you should go in there and plan on bugging someone's ear and say, hey, if you guys own the rights to the name Broken Matt, I'm just saying, you know.
Oh, shit.
Hey.
Hey, good idea, Glenn.
Hey, I'd pay to see that.
They could do that. You remember when they brought the fake Diesel and fake Razor?
Yeah, no.
You're bringing Matt Morgan as Broken Matt.
No, don't even put that out there. Take that back.
No, I don't know. I think I would love to know what's going on in WWE creative right now. I mean, it just, you know, and I'm thinking about this Fatal 5-Way. To me, it seems like they're trying to do an Extreme Rules version of Money in the Bank since the brand split. SmackDown's going to have Money in the Bank doing this #1 contender thing. I hope it's a real Extreme Rules match at least. That'll be interesting with 5 guys.
I'm sure the match will be good.
It's a gimmick on a gimmick then, though. You know what I'm saying? It's gimmick on gimmick on gimmick, and I don't know. I like gimmicks to mean something, but I'm old, so I'll shut up.
Extreme Rules is all about the gimmicks, man. But okay, Sasha Banks versus Alicia Fox. Bit of a surprise tonight. Alicia Fox winning over Sasha.
Very surprising.
Yeah, I wouldn't have predicted that at all. It's funny now. Was it Meltzer that said something about her Northern Lights suplex a while ago? I feel like now that's what everybody is finally on board with, her having a perfect Northern Lights suplex.
Yeah, I think so. I think he was the one that said it.
Yeah. She's always had one.
Yeah, no, Meltzer called it out finally. He's like the best Northern Lights suplex ever.
Yeah, settle down, Meltzer. There's a few others out there that do it better, but he's also beating off, giving people 6-star matches, being a prisoner in the moment, but I'll digress.
That's a good point.
Well, but you know, as we've said before, this is when you trade wins 2 weeks, you know, over 2 weeks, that usually means that's your feud for a little while. So, you know.
Yeah.
Let's see what they do with it.
And their match this week was a lot better than last week.
Yeah. It seems like a bit of a step down for Sasha, but I think if done right, it could be interesting.
The problem with WWE with the women is they have a hard time focusing on whatever isn't the title feud. So if you're not wrestling in the title feud, you're just kind of lost in the shuffle. They don't come up with strong storylines underneath.
That's how it felt even back when I was there, honestly. And that's how I think they treat it. I don't even necessarily think that they hide away from that anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think that's kind of a thing, but I don't understand that with such a huge creative team. Like, why they're not? I remember when I was there was tons of creative guys that would, they were like, look, we'd love to be able to say this, do this, this, and this in your storyline, but all of our they're putting all our focus over on, John Cena versus Randy Orton or whatever.
Right.
Time when I was there. So it's I don't understand the logic in it, but you're paying all the creative guys to be there. Make them, break some off and have them work on this.
Yeah, come up with something, because they do that with tag teams too. Unless you're in the tag title picture, you're just kind of floating around.
Yeah.
And
the best part is they'll blame it on the talent for not writing stuff up. Man, I have seen so many guys write like friggin' paragraphs, pages worth of stuff. I used to see Paul London bring in pages worth of ideas, and that they rarely would use them. But then they'd complain to us like, "Oh, reach for the brass ring." And then I remember sending an email with like 6 different ideas. I'll give you one right now. All right, how about this one? It was my debut. Coming back to SmackDown as the Blueprint Matt Morgan was my idea. And my gimmick, the idea I came up with was, I'm Vince McMahon's wet dream come true. I'm 7 foot, I'm 300 pounds, I'm intelligent, I'm a college graduate. I could jump, I can run, I can do all this stuff, right? I have no physical weakness. Mr. Perfect, if you will, of the Giants, right? The Giant 2.0. And the what do you call it? Not the promo, but the vignette would be Vince himself playing the role of Dr. Frankenstein. My big ass on the table. All you see is like the heart beating. You don't see what's under the sheet, nothing, right? You just see like a flash. You take a little bit of that Rocky IV Ivan Drago scene where he's training in the gym. You don't see the monster training, but you see like all of these things going off the charts, the heart rate beating and just all this other stuff. And then week by week, you build upon that. And then finally the heartbeat stops. My silhouette comes out. And boom, you finally eventually see me debut, right? Something along those lines. It was freaking cool. I remember a lot of the writers thought it was dope, but I guess because I screwed up by saying I was synthetically created by Vince McMahon. I was so stupid. I didn't even know what the hell that meant. Like I didn't really think it had anything to do with steroids. That's not what I was meaning. It was meaning like I wanted them to show flashes of Andre the Giant, flashes of Big John Studd, flashes of Taker, flashes of Kane, flashes of Kevin Nash, flashes of Sid. Mix them all together. Now you got your Giant 2.0 kind of thing,
Yeah.
And that's what I meant by synthetically created. And I thought it would have been a cool thing to play off the past and bring it to the future.
Yeah.
But again, that took me forever to write up, and it was just like someone wiped their ass with it and never used it.
Yeah. Didn't Paul London get a lot of heat because he would write all those ideas and like it annoyed Vince after a while?
That's a shame if so, because in meeting after meeting after meeting, he would sit there and tell us, grab that, go get that brass ring. It's a real live breathing thing, guys. Go out and get it. Well, you can't get it if you're not in a match, and you can't get it if you're not on TV. So how do you go get it? And then from there, they would say, come up with some stuff. Think of some ideas. You know yourself better than we do. Cool. Green light for me. So I sent them a whole bunch of stuff. But you know what? Because I came up with the idea and I did it. Actually, I didn't come up with it. Somebody that was non-contracted, Kenny Bolin at the time in Ohio Valley Wrestling, came up with the Blueprint persona. It's mine to own. And that's why I own it. You know
what? That idea you had, without doing the DNA thing, that's something you could have almost done with Jinder in a way, like in the sense that each week you're showing a workout clip from the gym, but you don't show the face. You just see this guy getting jacked and training and and then finally you do the reveal and it's Jinder and he's like pumped and he's like, I'm rebuilt and I'm refocused and I'm, I'm coming for you, or, something like that.
And you have the other people doing the talking. Like I literally was taking parts out of Rocky IV. Everything he hits, he destroys. Shit like that. like literally taking parts of it.
Yeah.
And and what would have been cool with Jinder actually, to play off of the part of the I don't want to be racially insensitive here. So what would you said I was wrong for saying Middle Eastern last week, right?
Well, he's not Middle Eastern.
Yeah, he's.
But what are they portraying him as? Is what I'm asking.
They're portraying him as Indian, which he's of Indian ethnicity.
Okay, fine. So then you have other Indian acts of the past, like the really super stereotypical ones. You show flashes of those, and you bring the past to the present with jacked ass Jinder. Like what? Do you know what I mean? Like him being the reveal.
Except you only have like 2 other Indian wrestlers.
Really?
Like Great Khali, and in WWF it was like Great Khali and Tiger Ali Singh.
Okay, this is how. Okay, so this is how incredibly Caucasian, like, and I guess racially insensitive I am. The other wrong perceptions that they put out there of other Hindi talent. Then, because I would have said Mark Kapani. I would have said, as ridiculous as it sounds, Sabu. I would have said, because I'm telling you, to white dumb America, I'm telling you, in the 80s we grouped all that together because we didn't know any better.
Yeah.
I know I didn't as a little boy in Connecticut. I had no idea.
Yeah, well, one of the biggest foreign heels of the early 90s was Sergeant Slaughter, so there you go.
Iron Sheik in the 80s, right. Even though it's from Iran, I know how ridiculous that sounds, but I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I'm being serious. I think anybody that was wearing a turban, when we were younger, we didn't know the difference as to where they were from per se. We just know they were the bad guy. That's all we knew.
A lot of people still don't.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
The heat Jinder gets from audiences, it's absolutely because of that confusion.
Yes.
Absolutely. 100%.
Yes, you're right, Glenn. Yes, you are.
Yeah.
And that's where, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but that's where I think it's just, man, it's the WWE creative, like, playing off that. And that's where it becomes cynical and crappy.
Lazy.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know. I don't know why I expect more. I think they're capable of nuance, but yeah, it's absolutely insane that they still hang.
He's proven he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all, man.
All right, let's keep
we digress.
Yeah, no, but that's good. And I like that vignette would have been good. It's just smash cut right now. Somebody go look back. When was this, Matt? Around 2004, 2003? When you were thinking that?
Yeah.
Look back at what WWE was doing on SmackDown that week. Probably not as good in that era. There were some low points, I seem to recall. So let's talk about Intercontinental Championship match tonight, The Miz versus Dean Ambrose. Now, we did spoil that at the beginning, that there was a DQ finish to that, which led to the stipulation there will not be a DQ out at, not without the title changing, at Extreme Rules. But, okay, I think Raj and I talked about this last Monday, Matt. How do you feel when they do a long match like this, and then it ends in a disqualification?
A little bit of air out of the sails. But again, maybe because I'm a wrestler, I watch the action, I watch the psychology. So the longer it goes, and hopefully the more entertained I can be in it, to me, I guess it's okay. But the fan in me would be pretty pissed.
Yeah, I think, like, from a storyline perspective, this made sense because you're building to that stip at the pay-per-view. But if you're going to do a cheap ending, don't have the match go 2 segments and you invest all this time only for that cheap cop-out ending. Go 5 minutes and then do it,
But why? But why? And then you're giving it away that could possibly happen. Didn't we just admit that because it went 2 segments, we're thinking we're going to get a clean finish?
Well, if it comes out anywhere, you get it anyway, right? I mean, if regardless of if it happens during if you don't see it coming anyway, if you just do it, I don't know. I just think
it's less predictable if you do 2 segments. I do. I think we're going to get a clean finish, and we don't. If they're looking to get heat because of it, then there's more heat involved because it wasn't predictable.
Do you think? But then you do it twice in the same show.
Yes. Yeah. Later on, folks, stay tuned. Yeah.
I just think if you're going to end the match with a kick in the groin, or a shot to the groin, like the funniest one, I don't know about you guys, but the one they did last year with Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler, where they built it up, there was going to be this big technical wrestling match, and Dolph had his headgear on, and they came out like they were going to do a collegiate match, and Dolph just kicked him in the crotch, and it was over. I mean, it was like, for me, that was like the funniest way to utilize that ending. It seemed kind of lame tonight to have it go on and on, because there was a really good back and forth. And I was going to ask you about this, Matt, because it seemed like they were almost a little late with the kick out tonight on one of those false finishes they did. But did you ever find as a wrestler, because it doesn't happen often, but did you ever find that, I mean, is there a science to the timing, and is it easy to screw that up on the 1, 2, 3?
You can. You can. I'll tell you how. If you're dumb enough to close your eyes when you're being covered, and you hear the ref slide down to the mat, and you think that's a 1 count, when it's really the ref's body hitting the mat. Okay, and then their 1 count you're thinking is your 2 count. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I've seen that happen a bunch. But that's why you shouldn't close your eyes.
But in that case, you would kick out early, right?
Yeah.
No, at that count, you're getting 3 counted because you're thinking the ref sliding on the mat is 1.
Oh, right. Gotcha.
The count of 1.
Right. So the
2 is there's 1. It's really 1.
Oh,
count.
yeah.
He's only. See what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get it. So the other way, so you mistake the 1 count for the ref hitting the mat.
No, but then you would kick out because you would think the ref is counting,
right,
2, but it's really 1 because.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So yeah. But you can do it. There's that way, but there's also where maybe you're really hurt. You know what I mean? And you don't. I've never had it happen to me. Honestly, I've seen it happen.
That's what happened to Emma last week. When she injured her shoulder, she hurt her shoulder and she couldn't kick out, and that wasn't the finish.
The worst is when the guy on top of them does it. You can kind of be the guy on top if you think the person can continue the match. You can be creative and almost force them to kick out. You know what I'm saying? Like I would change it. I would just, act like he kicked off. He kicked up.
You remember the Owen Steve Austin ending, right?
That's what I'm thinking as I'm saying it right now. That's exactly what I'm thinking of, actually.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I like the match tonight before that finish. But I mean, so now we're gonna.
Here's. Can I just say one last thing,
go
guys?
for it, man.
If WWE, let's say they're watching this, they're going hook, line, and sinker because now you got to pay to see the finish at the pay-per-view. That was our idea all along. We dragged you guys through 2 segments, and we pulled the carpet right up from underneath you with the finish. So now you're gonna have to watch the pay-per-view, and the stipulation is even more important now because now we need to have one in this pay-per-view because of the way this match was finished, and now you got to pay to see it.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, that's what they would think, or that's what the rationalization would be.
Yeah, if it was this Sunday, absolutely. But man, Extreme Rules is a long ways away in wrestling time.
Yeah, well,
yeah, and we both know that's not what they're thinking. I'm just telling you what the rationalization would be.
Yeah.
But no DQ. I'm already predicting the Miz will win due to Maurice interfering in some way.
Good,
Yeah.
he should win.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah,
and we'll see where they go from there.
I'm all about Miz.
Yeah, I think he could do it. He's definitely entertaining as hell to watch. So talk about the rest of this. Oh, what's that?
I feel like he's entertaining as hell but once he starts wrestling, then it's just kind of like, eh. I don't think he's bad. It's just like that entertainment doesn't carry over into his matches, in my opinion.
It shouldn't. He needs to be a kick. He needs to turn up the heat when it's time to start getting heat on his opponent because he's the guy who keeps getting pies in the face every week.
Right, but I don't even think that.
He's the guy who's getting the pants on TV each and every week.
Yeah, no, I mean, he should look stronger, but once he starts wrestling, the interest just kind of goes away for me.
What do you want him to do? Juggle? What
no, I did just in the ring. He just doesn't. He doesn't impress me to the level that a top heel should.
Typical IW. What is? I don't even know what to say. What do you guys call it?
IWC.
IWC. Because CM Punk says Miz can't wrestle, no one else do the. That's not. Think about that for the record. That CM Punk and other people have slanted fans' opinions for quite a long time that Miz can't get it done in the ring. And say what you will, he's improved immensely, and I think can absolutely carry a main event.
Yeah. No, and I think he's had some great matches in the past year. I think it depends on who he's paired with. And him with Dean tonight, that was a good match. That's why I would have liked to have seen a definitive resolution because I thought it was a pretty good match up until that point. Just seemed like a cop-out. So we're gonna get to the rest of the show in a moment, but first want to welcome a new sponsor to the Wrestling Inc. podcast, and that's Mack Weldon. Mack Weldon is better than whatever you're wearing right now. How do I know? Well, let me tell you. Both Raj and I had a chance to check it out, and it is true. Mack Weldon believes in smart design, premium fabrics, and simple shopping. It was so easy to go on their site, find stuff in my size, whether it was comfortable underwear, socks, shirts, undershirts, hoodies, sweatpants, shorts. They had so much great stuff, including a line of their silver underwear and shirts that are naturally antimicrobial.
Glenn, show us your underwear right now.
Matt, I'm going to spare the audience that, and I'm sure we have some viewers that are the faint of heart, and they just don't need that on their Monday night. They sat through Raw. But antimicrobial.
I want my Mack Weldon shirt. Come on.
Yeah. No, well, look at what Mr. Raj Giri's wearing there. He's styling in some Mack Weldon. Antimicrobial, tough word to say, means that they eliminate odor. It's odor eliminating gear, which is great if you work out, even if you jog, or even if you're just in a hot climate, you want stuff that's going to whisk away that moisture and keep you from smelling all funky. Mack Weldon wants you to be comfortable. So if you don't like your first pair, you can keep it and they'll still refund you. No questions asked. And not only does Mack Weldon's underwear, socks, and shirts look good, they perform well too. Like we said, it's great for whatever situation, working out or going out or just everyday life. We've got a special deal for you. Go to MackWeldon.com and get 20% off using the promo code INC. That's 20% off using the promo code INC, MackWeldon.com. Raj, what did you get from Mack Weldon?
I got a pair of socks, which are super ultra soft. This shirt, which is it's awesome because it looks good, but then it's so comfortable that that I could wear it around the house, but I can go out with it and it feels great. Plus, I got these shorts on. I don't know if I should stand up, but these Sunday shorts and just super comfortable. All right, let's see.
Yeah, let's see the shorts.
The shorts.
Okay. So I got a pair of those too. You know what I really like about the shorts is that they look nice enough when you're going out, but they fit like comfy shorts, like gym shorts.
Right. Yeah. Right. They feel like they feel almost like pajamas, but they look like you could go out in them. So they're great.
And I'm going to say this about the underwear. I was a skeptic about Mack Weldon underwear, the boxer brief, and then I got it, and I was like, oh my God, I get this. I now understand it. Absolutely worth every penny, and I'm a believer. I think our audience is going to dig it too. Go to MackWeldon.com. Use the offer code INC to save 20% off on your order. That's MackWeldon.com, INC. So glad to have them as a sponsor of the podcast. Speaking of things that impressed me, what did you guys think of Alexa's promo tonight in the ring?
Crushed it. I called my wife in the room because I was telling her last week. She's like, that little pint-sized girl, I could beat her up. And I was like, you got to see her on the mic, though. You don't understand. She's so comfortable. She's feeling herself out right now, and she's comfortable. She's like, we've seen tons of girls comfortable. I'm like, no, not like this. She could turn the crowd. And the stupid what chant that gets annoying, that used to annoy the crap out of me when I was doing my stuttering character. Well, guess what? She friggin' shoos them away like nobody's business. So tonight, I was like, get in here. You got to see it. So I rewound it to the part, and sure enough, just like, you know what I mean? How nobody else has thought of this is beyond me.
Yeah.
Like, it's the easiest thing in the world. Like, I used to say it in school all the time. I'd be like, Dickus says what? And then my friend would be like, what? Like, like, how no one's thought of this before is beyond me. And,
but even more masterful, though, what she did after that.
She's so slick,
and
comfortable, and I believe every word she says.
But that thing she did, I don't know why no one thought of this. So, Matt, I agree with what you said. But then when she said I came here and I said I was going to win the championship, then what did I do? And when they say what, she turned it around like they're participating in the rhythm of her thing just by adding that question. And I was like, I've never seen somebody do that. That was so brilliant.
I think she is probably top 5 right now on Raw on the mic, maybe higher. She's great. She owns that crowd. The problem with Bayley, the problem with this segment is that Bayley's the babyface, and her promo, I thought, pretty much sucked. And I thought Bliss just looked like just came across as so much of a bigger star, and then it ends with her laying Bayley out. And I just thought it was a bad night for Bayley all around, including the backstage segment later.
Okay, backstage is so much, in my opinion. I'd always rather be in the ring and cut my promo than backstage. Just it's easier to feed off the crowd. It's just much easier. You could play with more of you can get more emotionally involved yourself, believe it or not, because you play off the energy. That's a real thing. Backstage is tough. 2:30 in the afternoon doing a pre-tape, and dudes and girls are all running around in the background as you're trying to do your pre-tape. It's not the same thing as a live in-ring promo. I'm not making excuses, but I am saying that it's hard to be a babyface today. It just is. Yeah. And especially when you're trying to be this, not trying. She is a squeaky clean babyface. She's not trying to be that. Let's be clear. Okay. She is one.
Yeah. And I think
it's very hard but here's the problem with that. It's very difficult in 2017 for every single fan to get behind that. It's a shame. It's a shame to say that, but it depends where you're at, who's the crowd, and who you're in there with. When you have Alexa Bliss cutting world beater promos, that's not helping the cause.
Right. But plus Bayley doing the aw shucks stuff every week, I think is turning fans against her. I think she
isn't that what she is, though? Do you think she's
then tweak it. Then tweak it and be like, hey, you took that title. Now I'm gonna beat your ass, or they show some fire. Just something. It doesn't have to be that same aw shucks, or this has been my dream since I was a kid, or that always she's trying to make people feel sorry for her, but come up with something more aggressive and different, since it's not really working right now.
Well, and you know what the problem is that with Sasha, and this is the thing, I mean, I'm just going to say it. I think Alexa now, her performance as a heel is worlds beyond even Sasha as at her peak in NXT. And I think Sasha versus Bayley worked in very simple storytelling terms. I know, Raj, we talked about the comparison before to the Karate Kid, right? And you have like Sasha, like a Johnny Lawrence type, just being like, I'm the best, you're not good enough. And then Bayley is the underdog. By comparison, when we're talking villains, I mean, Alexa's like Hans Gruber in Die Hard. I mean, she's a villain that you're just like, okay, this is one that's witty, that has interesting points, that you want to see someone that can really go toe-to-toe with them. And I don't think Bayley as a babyface, she's not John McClane. She's not the type that can sit there and give as good as she can get. And she's going to really suffer in this feud because Alexa is next level right now.
Here's also the big advantage she had, though, the NXT that you're missing out on, is that she was the bridesmaid. She was the weaker of the four horsewomen. Okay. Yeah. She was baby sister. Okay. She was the baby sister always being left behind while the three studs were getting all the attention. And then eventually all three studs get called up. You know what I'm saying? So like, it was different once she won that title. It was humongous. Yeah. It was monumental, because we were on that journey with her for what, a year and a half or 2 years.
Absolutely.
So we all got that. Now it's very different. It's they gave her the title way too early.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're not on that chase with her. And so you can't, it's hard to be as sympathetic when she's already reached the top. I just think she's got to tweak her character a little bit. I think she's just doing the same promos, and she comes across as like she's reading them when she's doing it, and she's nervous delivering it. So I think she just needs to. What's that?
I'm gonna rewatch it tonight.
Okay.
So let's jump to talking about this right now. So they set it for Extreme Rules: Bayley versus Alexa championship match with a kendo stick on a pole. They're bringing back the pole match. They haven't done one of these since 2014.
What do you want me to say? Whoopie-doo.
Vince Russo might be happy.
Yeah. I'm sure he would. I'm sure he's claiming, that was his idea and yada, yada, yada. Whatever.
Arquette's going to win the title at SummerSlam.
Next.
If they keep going down this road.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, I don't know. Is it kendo stick on a pole?
There's nothing to even talk about.
I know, but I mean, it's crazy that they actually made that announcement with angles, like, and you're going to drop that it's going to be. I mean,
it's just a weird thing when you're thinking Alexa Bliss versus Bayley, and you're like, what step can we add? And then that's what you come up with.
The best part is they're both tiny. They're not going to be able to get up that pole so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah, but I don't see them. I don't know. Them hitting each other with a kendo stick. I don't know if I really want to see that either. But
no, you don't. That's because you don't. None of us do.
Yeah. It's just not that interesting. Huh.
So I'm trying to move it to the next match.
Okay. Extreme Rules. Going to be pay-per-view of the year. Well, okay, that moves us to the Cruiserweights. Neville and TJP versus Austin Aries and Jack Gallagher. Was that a step up, Matt?
I liked it.
Yeah.
I like anything. Right now, I think they got the perfect. They've got another. They've got other guys. We've been complaining for freaking what? The better part since they started the Cruiserweights, its own show. You know, the purple robes, blood. This is stupid that they do that, and they're not making the guy. We don't know anything about the characters whatsoever. There's no. It's all sizzle, no steak, right? That's what we always say. By putting Aries together with Jack Gallagher, it's been awesome. Awesome. I love the dynamic between the two. I watched the 305 live stuff the other night. Was it 205 live?
Yeah.
Sorry. It was the segment with that. No, that's not Raw, but the segment with that, with the in-ring with the toast to Austin, was a little long in the tooth. That segment, but they did a good job of building more character development. That's one thing we complain about. So because I watched that, and I watched tonight's show, I cared a little bit more about both characters. Say what you will. And as usual, Neville on fire, screaming at the fans and just doing old school heel heats type of stuff. You know, he's an ugly. I like him a lot, but he's an sorry, I'm outside. He's an ugly little man. You know, so him being a heel was perfect for him. And TJP, Jesus Christmas. Sorry guys, if you hear that train horn.
Yeah.
I digress. I can't do it inside. My son's sleeping, so it is what it is. TJP, you know, cocky heel stuff. He's got to stop doing the dap thing. That stuff is so dated.
Yeah, but I think as a heel, it definitely works better than when he was doing it as a babyface. Yeah.
It does, but he's corny. He thinks he's being cool though when he's doing it, and it's not cool. Yeah. It's not getting the heat he thinks it's getting. But he is better as a heel. He's going to become more comfortable as a heel, and he already is showing that. I like the setup between all four guys. I do.
I thought this was the second best match on the show, but I feel like the Cruiserweight division is just kind of dead. You know, like the fans were not caring. They're chanting CM Punk and Derek Jeter.
Terry, they chant
Derek Jeter.
Yeah, they're chanting like.
Then guess what? Here's a situation where the fans are wrong then, because the fans for years have been saying, give these guys an opportunity. Give these high flyers, smaller, diminutive type talents a chance. I'm sorry. We've got character development shoved up their butts the last few weeks or months. We know everything to know about these four talents, do we not?
Oh, if you watch 205 Live, nobody watches 205 Live.
Even on Raw, I know more about them than I know about what's to do Titus is managing right now. What's
Apollo
Crews.
Apollo Crews. Okay, and Apollo Crews was supposed to be a huge stud for that show, by the way, when he was first brought up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I know more about all four of those talents. I know, not even watching from 205, from watching Raw. We know a ton about Jack Gallagher. We know a ton about Austin. And we know a ton about Neville.
I mean, you just see the crowd response every week to the Cruiserweight matches, and I think that's and you can blame the fans, but ultimately at some point it's the way what the promotion has done with that division. And I think if you made it gritty, went back to taping it at Full Sail, a small atmosphere, getting it hot again, and then bringing them on Raw, you could have something. Or you know what you do?
They were red hot when they did it last time. When they did that show, it was a new thought. It was a new thing.
That's what I said.
They did that cruise. It
was red hot.
They brought it in,
and then they killed it. I don't think they should have 205 Live taped after SmackDown. Everyone's dead. The crowd is quiet. No one cares. It makes the show feel dead, and that's why no one watches that show.
So you're saying they should shoot 205 Live at Full Sail?
Yes.
What about the Raw and just not have them on Raw?
Yeah, just don't.
They're hardly on Raw right now. I mean, one match.
Then I'll tell you right now, every fan out there that's fans of Cruiserweights, I don't ever want to hear you bitch and moan that guys like me get the opportunity to be on TV over these 5'7" midgets, because you had your opportunity to cheer for them, you had your opportunity to boo them, and you sat on your hands instead.
Or you know what else you could do? You can get rid of the purple ropes, get rid of 205 Live, have half the cruiserweights on Raw, have the cruiserweights on SmackDown. Each brand has their own cruiserweight champion, and just make it part of the show, like the tag team title or the women's title, and not have this show that no one watches where you're doing your other feuds and where the feuds are developing.
Tag team idea was my idea.
I wasn't saying tag team. I'm saying you still have a cruiserweight. You got 2 separate cruiserweight champions, one on Raw and one on SmackDown. Just like you have a U.S. and Intercontinental champion, you have tag champs on both shows. You could have a cruiserweight champ on both shows. Split that division up. What's that?
It'd be even more watered down. It'd be even more watered down with even less descriptive talents.
Well, not if you don't stop treating it like a sideshow and changing the ropes purple and doing all that stuff and just keeping it as.
But that's it. I think that here's the thing, guys. I think the way of the future and the way, if it's not already going, I thought what I just said was a pretty good example of a fan working a 9 to 5. I'm in the gym at night. I have an autistic son that I work with for 2 hours every night. I don't have a lot of time, but yet I am somehow watching 205 Live and watching Raw. So I'm assuming fans are doing that. And so look at it that way. I just got done saying I learned a lot more about Jack Gallagher and Austin Aries and Neville and their feud from 205 Live the other night. And when they came into Raw tonight, I was excited to see that match. I was very excited because of the buildup that I got from 205. I think most fans are doing that. So what you're saying is, okay, then what the hell's going on in the arena? Why aren't they cheering? That's the $1 million question.
But the thing is also
purple ropes ain't the reason.
There's the ropes, but they aren't watching 205 because you can look at the list on WWE Network of the most viewed shows in 205.
That's such a gimmick. You believe that?
Yeah, no. If it was a gimmick, they'd be putting 205 Live up there because they're paying that to have a live show every week. They would want that to look more popular.
What do they say number 1 is?
I mean, it changes week in, week out, but usually, you got whatever pay-per-view there was. You got some crap like Holy Foley that is for some reasons always really popular. NXT used to be like right at the top, but it's fallen a little bit. But you got stuff, just a bunch of stuff like that.
Well, we shall see. We shall see.
All I'm going to say is, again, fans, you want to see cruiserweights on the show, stop sitting on your hands. Even if you don't like it, cheer for it because it's going to go away.
I agree with that.
Yeah. What was your prediction originally, Raj, by SummerSlam?
I thought it wouldn't be in its current form by SummerSlam, yeah.
I think scaling back to 1 match each week might be a telling sign, as we saw last week and this week.
Yeah.
But we shall see.
Why am I the only one so entertained by Jack Gallagher?
I like Jack Gallagher, but I think he should, team with Aiden English, do Vaudevillains 2.0.
I like the cruiserweights. I mean, I've been saying that since the beginning, but I think the way they're executing it is just all wrong. I love the cruiserweights. I love the cruiserweight classic. I think if you went back to something like that, or just have it be its own, not doing all the. I mean, we're going in circles here, but making it the sideshow, making it feel like it's a something other that's different from the rest of the show, but not as important.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
One last thing, they have to do that because otherwise, guess what? We're just watching a bunch of midgets in the ring. To the average viewer clicking through the channel, so they've got to they have to have them as a sideshow, not in a negative way, but in a high-flying, action-packed type way that I knew that that's what they were hoping to get out of it. Now, what these guys are doing in the matches, that's on them. I think they've been doing that lately. I think we've been getting high-flying, some action-packed stuff with some stories built in. But like you said, we're going in circles.
Yeah.
I think the matches have been better. Okay, so we are going to talk about what was up after that in a moment with Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns, but I want to thank the second sponsor of this episode and let everyone know that Bill Goldberg is stepping into the Sugar Factory Las Vegas for a special meet and greet on May 20th. So coming up in 5 days, May 20th from 2 to 5 p.m. For $75, fans will have the opportunity for a VIP experience to take selfies with Goldberg, get an autographed picture, and try the Goldburger, the monster hamburger named after Bill Goldberg himself. And that comes with fries and an insane milkshake or beer, and it's called the Insane Milkshake. I'm not just being colorful. For $20, fans will have the chance for a selfie and a signed photo. Act fast. Make your reservations today by calling 702-685-0483 or check out sugarfactory.com for more information. And as Raj mentioned, Goldberg rarely does stuff like this. So it's a bargain and a great opportunity to meet the man himself.
This Saturday. It's this Saturday, so it's coming up quick.
Yeah, if you're near the Vegas area, definitely worth it. And if you go, let us know how it was. Want to thank them for sponsoring the show. So let's talk about Finn Balor versus Roman Reigns. Matt, what did you think of this match?
I was just thinking about the Goldberger. Sorry, what?
Yeah. Finn versus Roman.
I was going into it again, telling my wife Roman's gonna win.
Mm-hmm.
And I took from this match is Finn, my brother. I talked to you. I haven't talked to you in a while, but my brother, you've got to chill. You got to stop taking these high risk bumps, dude. You just came back. You don't have to prove what you think you do. You know, everyone knows you're as good as you are. You do not need to be taking running spine busters into the damn LED post, okay? Where Roman unsafely puts you in the corner, hits you in the damn corner on top of it. You don't need to be doing these crazy. Oh my God, I can go on all day because I love watching him and I want him to be healthy, and we need him to be healthy. That show needs him to be healthy. Roman's been built like a monster. You do not need to be the one flip-flopping flying for him, man. He's done it enough for a few years now. He's already been built up enough as that freak of nature monster. You don't need to make him into that anymore. All right? That's not your job anymore. Your job is to be every bit of a main event talent as him and give it to him as good as he gives it to you. And, you know, I like the match. The psychology was good. But a few things, I don't know. You know, I wasn't like I said, the high risks that Finn was taking as far as like him selling like a champ, which you can't condemn him for. He worked his ass off to make Roman look like a beast, you know, during the heat. But again, I just don't think it needs to be done in such a high risk manner because we need him to be healthy, you know. And I know Finn, and I know how crazy competitive he is. He wants the match of the night every time he's out there. So, God give him credit for that, right? But his end too, you know, it goes both ways.
I thought this match was really good. I thought this was the best match on the show. Yeah.
It was.
The risks and stuff. Finn just always does that.
Yeah.
That's.
I don't want to see him get hurt.
No, I agree. I mean, but yeah, his style. Reigns beat Undertaker. I don't think Reigns should be losing all the time, and he lost to Strowman. But in this case, I felt like you could have had Reigns lose because he was going in with the injured shoulder. When he did that shoulder spot, you know, they could have done something with that cost him that match.
Out, count out, anything. You had an out.
Yeah, I just think it's you've beaten Finn Balor already a couple times since he's been back, and I think you're just lacking the top stars right now. Braun Strowman's gone for 6 months. We'll talk about that after. You know, but you need to make a couple people feel special other than Roman, and I think Finn Balor should be one of those guys. And beating him, he got pinned by The Miz in that match a couple weeks ago, beaten clean by Roman here. I protect him a little. You have a summer where you just the star quality isn't the greatest right now.
Yeah. And
you want to know what's crazy? You want to know what's crazy? I'm sorry.
No, go for it.
Sorry. Is that? But yet, I'm more excited this summer about the matchups and the actual in-ring product than I was last summer.
With Raw and SmackDown.
But yeah, I'd say yeah, more so Raw. Because Finn's back. Because they have Rollins at the top and he's healthy. They have Joe mixed in there at the top. He's in there. Like the 5 that we saw tonight. I'm excited about all 5 of those guys.
Yeah, I think
minus Roman. I'm not that I'm not excited about Roman. Don't get me wrong. I'm a fan of Roman, but those other 4, you know, I think it's different. And last summer, I know what you're saying. There's no like definitive, here's a top star main event guy, Seth Rollins. I know what you're saying, but all 4 of them swimming right around it. that's exciting to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I like that mix of the 5. You throw Roman in there. But the problem is we're already seeing that so much. It's not like it's building to this dream match that you want to see. You know, like when they were in NXT and Finn Balor came in and Samoa Joe came in and they built to Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe. Now you're already seeing all those matches, you know. So in a month, none of those 5 combos is anything special.
I think they don't think the matches matter or the wins and losses matter. I really don't think
they do. They don't.
And so what I think what the exciting part for me is as a wrestler is who's gonna sink and who's gonna swim. You know, I got my money on Joe. I know out of them all right now, he probably seems like the longest shot out of them. I got my money on Joe because there's just something about Joe, not because he's my boy. I want to hear that crap from you guys. It's literally because when he takes the mic and he talks, he's got this bass and confidence in his voice that sells tickets. That makes me want to pay to see him versus Brock Lesnar because he's the only one in there that sounds like and works like he could get it done. I got my money on him.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. And he's not in the Fatal 5-Way. So.
Nope. I'm talking going into Mania.
Yeah, for next year.
Wait, Joe is?
Is he in the 5-Way?
Yeah.
Oh, did I miss that?
It's Balor, Reigns, Joe, Wyatt, and Rollins.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I misread that correct.
But my money, I'm talking long-term Mania, Joe.
That's right. He was left on the matchups tonight. I apologize. No.
What you hear is cut a great promo.
Yeah. I'll tell you, my big issue tonight is just with Braun. I mean, Braun is the guy that they've built feels like the most in the past better part of the last year. They built Braun Strowman and now he's out for 6 months. You know, I mean, that's terrible. That's a huge loss.
Yeah, that sucks. You can't blame them for that.
No, I don't blame them for that. But I mean, it's just like they can't. Like the WWE can't catch a break. You know, it feels like there's just always something happening.
I don't get hurt. Just throw it out there again. I don't get hurt.
Yeah, that's true. And and you're right there. You're within driving distance of the Performance Center. It's not like it would be that far.
But they don't make you turn over ambulances either. All right.
Okay. So, man, this is just such a hodgepodge of segments. So, Golden Truth, Goldust turned on our truth tonight.
But as far as a turn went, I thought it was pretty good. It's just you've made these guys be nothing for so long that I don't see why you're supposed to care. I wonder if this means that our truth is gone, like, or if this is a feud, or if just remember when the Dudleys, when they did that big beatdown with the Dudleys, and that was it for them. That was their swan song. So. And our truth is getting up there in years. So I don't know if this is like they're doing a Goldust versus our truth feud, which seems odd to be doing, or if it's something else.
No, the guys are being. This is my take. I could be very wrong. The Dudleys were leaving, right? And they put over the younger, hot, new on the scene tag team. Goldust is not hot, new on the scene talent that needs to be. You know what I mean? So here's what I think it is. I think the two vets are being rewarded for always being there, doing whatever they're given, and trying to, turn chicken shit into chicken salad. No matter how corny it is, no matter how eye rolling and head scratching it probably is for them to do it, they still do it and do it to the best of their abilities. And let's think, our truth was just main event a few years back, 4 years ago, 3 years ago versus John Cena. And held his own. He showed he can do well. And now he's doing this crap. So to have a good attitude and never complain, that there's a lot to be said for that. WWE does throw a bone to their talents that stick with it. And I think that's what this is for maybe Goldust or our truth. If you're saying they have a match coming out of this, who knows which it's for, but we know it's a weaker card, right? Going into this, the undercard's weaker. So they're filling,
Yeah. Hey, it gives them something to do. I like both guys. So, Goldust has been looking good for a while. He's just been kind of lost since they broke him up with Cody, or once they brought in Stardust, it just kind of went downhill after that. But
he was getting great reactions. He was getting one of the top 5 pops every night. Remember?
Yeah, no, and him and Cody were just killing it in the ring. I remember, was it the match they had with the Shield? That was like the match of the night at Battleground a few years ago. No, I mean, he can go. He's just been sidelined with, I don't even know what they are, Golden Truth. It never really went anywhere. It was just two guys teaming together.
Thrown together.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll see where this goes. It's something.
Yeah.
I thought the angle was done well. And I thought Goldust and our Truth pulled it off well.
Titus.
I was fast forward. Go ahead,
no, go for it, Matt.
No, it's not worth it. Go ahead. Titus.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're going to the exciting match of Titus O'Neil versus Big Cass.
No.
Yeah, so Titus really is giving a TED talk, by the way. I had to Google that. That wasn't kayfabe, but TEDx, which is more of a community-based event, but a TED talk nonetheless.
Dude, he's awesome. First of all, I loved his promo. I love his look. He looks like the most professional guy. I'm sorry, out of the 4 of those dudes in that ring, he looked like a star. Just physically, and on the mic, more than held his own. I loved everything about it, and I know he's supposed to be helping get
Apollo Crews.
What's his name? Apollo Crews, who I'm actually a fan of, like the stuff that the physical feats that this guy can perform in the ring. Actually, I should know his name. It's very disrespectful, but nonetheless, that should say something. That what's his name? That Titus sticks out like the bigger star. JBL touched on this on that talk show they do.
Bring it to the table.
Yeah,
bring it to the table about how, and this is a generally old school thought, but he's right that you don't want the manager to ever be bigger or taller or more muscular or better looking than the talent itself, and he dwarfs him, and he dwarfs most talents. So to have him be a manager is going to be tough if they really want him to get over the talent. So I'm all for him undercutting the talent and getting himself over like he did tonight. He stole this segment. He was very confident, and again, I cannot keep saying this enough. He put himself over like the biggest star in that ring tonight. It's just my opinion.
Now, did Apollo look like he was turning heel at the end of this, or because
I thought so? I thought
he did that kick, and then Big Cass looked annoyed with Enzo. Like he didn't go in to save him. He just kind of pulled him out. I was like, why are you taking selfies? And he seemed annoyed, as opposed to almost like it was justified that Enzo got that kick. So that was, I wasn't sure if that was Apollo's, slowly going to the dark side with Titus, or just Enzo was being that annoying and needed to get kicked in the face.
See, it's quite the conundrum, because I, as a fan, would think the same thing the last part you just said. He's being annoying, should have been kicked in the face. But I wonder if WWE thinks we already think Apollo Crews is considered a heel, that the turn's already been made.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if for the last 2 or 3 weeks that they think it's already been made and that we're all supposed to know it, maybe. Even though it wasn't very black and white.
Putting him with Titus, I mean, Titus, they've booked Titus as a heel for a long time now. Yeah. So the association.
I think this. I agree with. I get what JBL is saying, Matt, and I know what you're saying when you have the manager being bigger, but you can always do a storyline off of that too, because it's not like Titus isn't a wrestler.
Yeah.
So.
What would the storyline be? They trying to steal the heat from the star?
Yeah, or he's always trying to upstage Apollo, and
sure.
And then finally it gets to a boiling point, something like that.
Like Rocky V.
That could work. No, not like
Rocky V was teacher and student.
It was terrible. That was the plot, was that Tommy Gunn was upset that Rocky kept upstaging him.
Yeah.
Because he's a bigger star, not because he's physically.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Rocky V would have to be with like Shaquille O'Neal playing the role of Rocky in order to have this analogy for him. Yeah. But you guys get it.
Yeah.
I mean,
but
say what you guys will. The dude looks like a star. I'm sorry.
You know what, though? To your original point, Matt, I think part of the reason, now that I think about it tonight, is because they let him come out and talk about something real that he's actually doing. At first, that's why I had to look up the TED Talk thing, because I was like, at first, oh my God, it's the stupid Titus brand thing again. It's not funny. It's not clever. But then when you realize he's really doing it, and I thought back, I don't know if you listened to Jericho's podcast, how Batista was putting him over. so much there. It's like, let Titus be Titus, and he's actually compelling. You know?
Yes, this dude, and what's even crazier, would be a remarkable baby face because of what he does in real life. There is nobody more charitable than him. I'm sorry, he smokes John Cena in this area, but they're not going to talk about it because John gets 50 kids in a room to make a wish at a clip, whereas Titus is doing this on his own.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? He does so much of it on his own. He does it with WWE, but he also has his own setup for a lot of charity stuff, and he's a really good human being. Like here in Florida, he's humongous. You know what I mean? He played University of Florida. He's so revered here, and he's a good human being. I can't say that enough. And be remarkable. I don't know what they're doing or how they're missing this. You know?
Yeah.
Well, he touched Vince McMahon on the shoulder, so clearly he had to spend a year in the doghouse.
But like even before that, you know, they should have never put him with Darren Young to begin with. Or he should have been by himself. And if they thought he was green, then he ain't ready to be called up. You keep him down, and at the time it was FCW. You keep him down there until he's ready.
Yeah. So second DQ of the night in the main event, Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins, a match that had never happened before. First time tonight.
Yeah.
What did you think of seeing these guys together, Matt?
That what you just said, I was like, I have a feeling these two, before they even said it, I was like, they've never wrestled each other. They've only wrestled each other when it was Wyatt's versus the Shield, but never in singles comp. I was excited for it. I was like, this is going to be a great. Anytime Bray's in a match, I'm a fan of it. And you guys know Rollins is one of my favorite guys. I was like him and Owens, right? This one, I'll agree with you guys. I was disappointed in that there was a DQ. I was. But that's the match itself was. I love the match. Can't you?
I think they could have saved this for a pay-per-view. I'm really surprised they did it tonight for the first time ever.
Same with Reigns and what's his name? Same thing.
Yeah, Finn.
Balor. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. They're running through these 5 guys by putting them all together. These are your 5 main event guys, and you're kind of running through all these matches. Even though it's not a definitive outcome, but I don't know, come up with something else. If this is the best finish you got, come up with something else. And but yeah, I thought the match was good. It'll be interesting to see. I think Bray Wyatt, you know, again, I couldn't stand his promo that he did tonight. Those promos drive me nuts. Last week's Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt main event, the drop in the third hour was one of the biggest in the history of the show. And it was one of the
say that whole thing again. Say the whole thing again. What?
So last week, the main event was Dean Ambrose versus Bray Wyatt. And the drop in that third hour was one of the biggest in the history of the show. From hour 1 to hour 2 to hour 3. It was, I think hour 1 and hour 2 were pretty comparable, and then hour 3 collapsed.
But they break it down to the quarter. Was their quarter the lowest?
I don't have the quarter, but that hour was. And it was also...
That's a whole hour. Their match wasn't an hour?
Yeah, but the show lost, steam as it went on, and it really lost it. It's not like the last quarter did a 4.0, and then it was the 3 segments before that tanked.
But as a wrestler, see, this is the thing that used to frustrate me as a wrestler. When quarter hours would come out for Impact, I remember at TNA, even when we were doing some really solid ratings, and it'd be like guys like me, Eric Young, when he was doing the World Elite, me trying to get in the Main Event Mafias right around that time. And we were doing really good numbers. Like we were doing consistent, for us, which is good, 1.3s and touching 1.4s. We were doing that pretty consistently, like 5 or 6 weeks in a row. And I remember like the next week they put me and Angle in the main event, and it had dropped in my quarter hour. But meanwhile, those 4 weeks, me and Kurt's storyline in those 15 minutes were generally the highest. And I remember it was like, oh, Matt Morgan must not be ready to be in the main event, or if he's dropping the input, his quarter hour was a big drop, So as a wrestler, I'd be like, what the freak, like, how do we know it wasn't the segment before that pissed people off and turned them off?
But if it's a main event you'd really want to see, you'd still come back for it.
So that's what I'm asking. How do we know, like, in that last third hour? Okay, there's 15-minute window, there's the 30-minute window, there's a 45-minute window, and then there's the hour window. Did they come back at that 45-half-hour to 45-minute window there?
If they did, I mean, unless it would have had to been a complete collapse then, because the second and third hour was a 15% drop. So unless it dropped 30% and then went up 60% in that last quarter.
Oh, you said it only dropped 1.5?
Yeah, 1.5.
That's significant.
Yeah. And Raw, they usually like the biggest it'll go is like maybe 6 or 7. 15 is pretty unheard of.
Wow.
This was one of the lowest rated third hours I think ever.
What else was on last Monday though? I mean, was there any additional? I mean, last Monday's Raw, we talked to this. Last Monday's Raw was terrible.
No, the competition for last Monday was pretty weak. I mean, I think you had the NBA playoffs, but you have that. It's not the finals. I mean, it's nothing out of the ordinary.
It was a terrible Monday Night Raw, though.
Yeah, and SmackDown. I think SmackDown was the lowest rated in a long time too. It was the lowest rated of the year.
Well, then that's okay. Then that's saying something. People's TV habits may have been different that week for whatever reason.
But
why would SmackDown be low as well? Why would SmackDown be low as well?
Because people are losing interest right now in WWE. It's not just the ratings have been dropping since WrestleMania Hard. Just last week was the first week where you saw a huge drop in an hour as opposed to the whole show.
I don't know what it is, guys. I think today's the rating. I'm gonna make excuses. I don't work there. I don't have any reason to defend Bray Wyatt. I don't even know these guys. All right, so I'm just speaking honestly here from what my opinion is that I think today's is very different when you go and you try to judge ratings and you put it on the talent. I think it's very different now.
I agree because I think
am I trying to sound like Triple H here when he tries to talk about people's viewing habits being different? But he's right.
Well, it's not just that.
I mean? I do this show. Hang on, I do this show, guys, and I've told you this a million times. I fast forward through commercials to get through the match that I need to get to watch it so I can talk about it and know what the hell I'm talking about. But back then you weren't able to do that. You had to watch everything. And meanwhile, I'm flicking back and forth watching my kid's cartoon on my Fire Stick and then coming back to Raw. Like Raw is literally the only thing on TV I watch. Everything else is on Fire Stick, or my iPhone. And that's generally most people's viewing habits nowadays. So the ratings in general, I think they're going to go all the way. I really do. I think it's going to go completely to the network. And none of this, all this is going to be null and it's not going to even matter.
That'll be the death of WWE if that happened, though. Because then you're not getting new fans.
That what?
Because then you don't get new fans that way.
I'm a fan of Netflix. I never heard Netflix at one point.
Yeah, but Netflix isn't like, let's say I don't watch basketball. Am I gonna just decide, oh, hey, I'm gonna spend $20 a month for the sport I've never watched to see if I like it?
Yes, because when you click through, they give you a free trial, and you watch LeBron James dunk call over whoever, and for some reason it piques your interest, you want to watch it. Like that's last night we ordered HBO app. I didn't want to get it, but my wife wanted to get it because she wants to see this one show, the Expendables, the Leftovers, whatever the hell it's called.
Yeah.
And I was like, $14.99 for this shit? That's a ripoff. But my point is, I watched it, and I was like, shit, this is a really good show. Yeah. And now I'm glad we got it. I don't know. I just everybody's different.
Yeah, and so much of the money that they generate comes from TV rights. I mean, that's their number one thing.
TV. How would they do it then?
How would they do it?
How would they make their money, Raj? Because that is what they're going to do. They've said this. They're going to go the way of the network eventually.
No. They've never said they're going to not have their TV deals. Their TV deals is their number one revenue, and it keeps going up. Because the TV companies are paying more and more for sports right now. Now that's going to probably change now because ESPN now is hurting, Fox Sports, all these sports channels because they paid way too much for like the NFL and these sports, and now they're going through layoffs and things like that.
Yeah,
but
you're right.
But TV rights is still huge. Now, as far as it moving to streaming services like PlayStation View or Sling, where they show the USA Network, yes, I see a lot more of that happening. But as far as WWE Network, that's based on getting people, outside fans, to become fans, which takes a while, and then sign up for the network. But
okay.
But the point being, I think what we probably all agree on is with the 3 hours, they're burning people off every year. And I'm going to do an article on the percentage that has dropped every year since they went to 3 hours. And at some point you got to look at, like, is that extra hour of revenue worth the amount of fan base that you're losing each year? Because if you weren't losing that amount of fan base, how much higher would your network subscriptions be? And
that's a great question, but something tells me that they've answered this with a really good answer. I don't know what it is, but for some reason I remember my biggest thing always like, yeah, why are they doing 3 hours? Why not just 2? It's so obviously going to be so much more successful. How did they not see this? And I could have sworn on one of these conference calls, either Vince or Hunter did, they explained it, and I remember it being a pretty decent answer, actually. No?
Well, basically, if you look at the TV deal with USA, and I don't have the number in front of me.
Maybe USA makes them do it, right? Maybe that's what it is?
Well, they get, so let's say it's 150 million they're making for 5 hours. So that's 30 million per hour, and that they're doing. So if they cut off the third hour Raw, that's $30 million in revenue that they're losing, each year. That's more than, that's just a ton of their revenue. So for them, just keeping, but again, someone pointed out that they've been losing viewers since 2002. They have, but not at this rate. If they kept more of those viewers and added, let's say that made a difference of 500,000 network subscriptions. Well, that's only, that's only $5 million. So it doesn't quite make up for that, for losing that hour of Raw. So that hour of Raw is worth a ton of money. Actually, you know what? I take that back. If they kept the audience base and they had 500,000 people at $10 a month, that's $5 million. And then at 12 months, that's 60 million a year. So that more than makes up for it. So yeah, I'll have to crunch the numbers a little more on that. But
just really quick, I could have sworn like USA tells them they have to have 3 hours on Raw. Because they're getting a great rate, regardless of what we think the ratings are. USA thinks there's a good ratings.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they could force them, but the fact is, USA has like no hit shows right now that do anywhere near what Raw does.
Nowhere near it.
Yeah. And back in the day, they used to have a lot of shows. They didn't even want SmackDown. SmackDown had to go to Sci-Fi. I mean, they could have easily had SmackDown.
Did Burn Notice? They had some really great shows, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now they've got like Shooter and Shooter.
Shooter, is that corny? I remember actually wanting to see that. Was it good or bad? Is it crappy?
They got renewed. I mean, so supposedly it's all right. I've heard it's all right. I've got the season. I just haven't watched it yet. Heard it's good. That's their big hit. And they did credit SmackDown for helping launch that show, SmackDown Live. Yeah. Giving them like a Tuesday.
Sounds a great show. Yeah. I love SmackDown.
Yeah. So we'll see. But all in all, tonight's Raw, definite improvement from last week. But Matt, what do you give the show? And we didn't really touch on it, but what do you think about Samoa Joe interfering in that DQ with to DQ Bray and Seth?
I'm glad it was Samoa Joe.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was pretty obvious when they said there was 5 talents involved in this.
Yeah.
I knew Joe was going to be the spoiler.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it.
Different look for him tonight with the sleeveless shirt as opposed to the t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or shirtless. He's normally shirtless or the full t-shirt, but the shirt without sleeves was different, I thought.
He wasn't wrestling though tonight, right? He just well, we'll see when he wrestles if he changes that. I like Joe shirtless, actually. I know that.
I think he looks fine shirtless.
Ridiculously. I realize how ridiculous that just sounded. But but I'm being serious. I like that because it's crazy that someone that could be, when you think about it, that's heavy set like Joe with no shirt on. We would normally like make fun of that. That's a horrible thing to say, but usually that person gets made fun of in real life on the beach or whatever. That's a horrible thing to say, but it's the truth. And here's one of the most badass legit dudes there is, able to pull it off, and no one thinks any different. I know I don't. Maybe like the common fan clicking through the channels might, but
he's got swagger about him though, you know.
He's so real. I just can't get. I mean, you guys see when he works. When I was telling you guys last week or 2 weeks ago, his punches, his jabs, his chop, everything he does has a purpose and has a very has malintention. Everything he throws, it just looks very real to me. and very crisp. So I don't know what they're waiting for with him. You know, just I don't know what type of test he's supposed to pass. You know, but enough already. That is your most legit dude on that friggin' one of the most legit dudes you got on that roster, WWE, and you need to stop screwing with him and get him where he deserves to be. He needs to be in that ring with Brock.
No, I'd like to see it.
And real quick, Matt, before we go, I wanted to ask you, did you see Randy Orton's comments about independent wrestling that has gotten people all fired up?
He's trolling people. He's trolling you. That's all he's doing. He's trolling.
Yeah, what'd you think? Were you surprised at the outlash or backlash? Outlash.
From the fans, was that the backlash that they gave?
Yeah.
No, because they're very defensive over their stuff. They're very territorial, not territorial, proud. There's nothing wrong with being an independent wrestler, and there is nothing wrong with that. Everybody got their start one way or the other. And it's Randy just didn't. That's not the way it worked for him. He got the opportunity of a lifetime right away, made the most of it. It's not like he went there and shit the bed. His first year, he everyone you'll always hear to say about this Randy. No one has the business in their blood more than him. I know it sounds like a cliche, but you could see it with all of his movements, everything he does in that ring. It just comes easy to Randy Orton. If he really worked at it and really busted his tail, he could be on a whole different stratosphere. I'm not saying he doesn't work hard, but let's say you put his talent with a Daniel Bryan work ethic. Game over. Like, I'm telling you, Randy would rewrite every record there is in the record book because he comes to him that easy, the business. Yeah. But as far as like you said, I just think he was trolling the fans. Nothing more, nothing less. Probably sick and tired, of these guys that we all saw. I saw Daniel Bryan come through a million times doing dark matches with his big beard at the time and a bald head, actually, and not getting any opportunities. CM Punk, I saw twice come through darks and nobody paid him any attention. The SATs, Amazing Red, all these great young talents that were in the indies, they were all the buzz, never really got any opportunity. They got darks, they got squash matches, but knowing that they never got signed, right? And I saw them too during my time there. And long story short, Randy saw him as well. So now all of a sudden these guys are coming in and they're getting this opportunity and they're making the most of it and they're surpassing him. Maybe there's something to him not liking that. I don't know. Say what you will. Daniel Bryan was more over than he was. CM Punk.
Absolutely.
I'm sure I'm leaving a ton others out. I'm struggling here, but I'm sure there's many more that I'm leaving out here. That now are much more over than Randy.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, Matt, we ran a little late today.
Lots to talk about.
What time is it? 12:40. Good Lord.
But that was fun. Some good discussions.
Definitely.
I'm gonna make a prediction right now that this will be a top 5 rated show for Wrestling Inc. podcast.
All right.
There you have it.
Check it out.
So everybody listen to this one twice.
Don't be taking my words out of context as your headlines either. Matt Morgan's a racist.
No, it'll be all good.
Yeah, the headline.
All right, guys. So Matt, you're gonna be back on Sunday.
I can't wait. No. I'm doing NXT.
Oh.
Saturday and Sunday. All right, NXT.
Yes,
Saturday and Sunday.
My way in Saturday night. Yes.
Nice. All right, we'll be back on Saturday.
Thank you guys. Great job, you guys.
You too, man.
Great seeing you, man.
Have a good night, y'all. Bye.
You too, man.
All right, take care. Bye.
Till next time, everyone. See you next time on Wrestling Inc.